Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right. Yeah, pretty much. So let's get into it. We dropped the intro.
Dear God, I wonder, can you save me? Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Dear God, I wonder, can you save me? Secret society, trying to keep the eye. Dear God, I wonder, can you save me? Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Dear God, I wonder, can you save me? I can't down. Yeah.
That fire, that intro is fire.
It's nice, huh? Yeah.
That should be stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Illuminati in my mind, soul, in my body.
I know it. So Netflix, I guess, is here doing some documentary about all these vampires we have running around Dayton, Ohio. Who knew? This reminds me of that show True Blood. Do you remember that show? Like, I wonder how many times I've been in a restaurant downtown or something and like have a vampire next to me and not know it. Or been in a gas station like buying shit or getting gas and there's like vampire beside me like, what's up? And I didn't even know. And this is the wild part. I guess this documentary is going to be called Vampires of Gem City, which I didn't know that Dayton was called that either. Oops. But it says Dayton has been home to the largest coven of vampires outside of New Orleans. First off, I didn't know vampires had covens. I just thought that was witches, but interesting fact. And I've never seen a vampire in New Orleans. I have been to New Orleans. But that's a pretty colorful place. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But in Dayton, in my backyard, I don't know when this stuff's supposed to air, but I'm like interested as fuck to see it. Like, I'm gonna be so scared to go downtown now. So apparently my town has a bunch of fucking vampires running around in it, and I didn't fucking know it. There's enough to where like Netflix was like in the process of like making a film documentary about the vampires of Gem City. And this documentary was supposed to cover the disappearance of a man from 1994 that went missing in downtown Dayton. And his name was George Gaul. He was only 26 years old. And if I said his name wrong, I apologize. And he was allegedly last seen getting off a bus going to this nightclub called Asylum, which was on South Main Street in Dayton, which is no longer there. But this Asylum nightclub was also supposed to be a secret vampire meeting place. And allegedly his disappearance is related to some type of vampire ritual, or so they say. Now, Netflix ended up scrapping this whole ordeal. Like, they're like, yeah, we're shelving it. We're not doing it. Without much explanation of why. Makes me wonder, did they go find something that they're like, okay, yeah, no, we're walking away from this. We're just going to leave this alone and pretend it never happened. Which, unfortunately, now, because they've shelved it, we will probably never know. Yes, vampires. And I guess there's like a bunch of them. Like, there's enough to where like Netflix was like in the process of like making a film documentary about the vampires of Gem City. And can y'all tell me who in the fuck built an 800-mile underground tunnel system in Dayton, Ohio? 800 miles. See? 800 miles. And y'all, it's got some crazy and fucking scary and just sinister, weird, like, history attached to these tunnels. Like, they say they're haunted as fuck. Here is like one of the tunnel entrances from like back in the day, and it was attached to the hospital morgue, and they transported dead bodies in it. Yeah. And then these tunnels lead back to Philip Gaul, y'all. He's the guy that I did the video about the other day that was supposed to be in the Netflix documentary about the fucking vampires. Yeah, that guy. Well, it is believed that a police officer that went undercover during all this shit in this Asylum nightclub as an undercover person, and there was like horrific things that happened supposedly to this guy. I'm not even gonna say him because they're so fucking bad, but there. And they think that his body was placed in these tunnels too because they were attached to this Asylum nightclub. And I guess to this day, a lot of homeless people are in these tunnels still, and they say that they are fucking scary. And the word on the street is also ghosts, from what I've been told.
Vampires in Ohio? No. I was tagged in this video of a young individual.
Well, New Orleans, of course, and this little guy here, Jacques, was like their number one vampire, I guess, or most famous one, whatever you want to call it. And I guess this Jacques was a bougie little feller. Like, he was in the high society, held all the fancy parties, had all the good food and fashion, just everything over the top from what I understand. But he'd never eat. Like, I guess no one ever seen him eat. He was just always thirsty. And there was rumors that went around about him, and I guess he was also kind of known as like a womanizer, and like to go down to the French Quarter and find him a woman and bring her back and whatever. Well, one night apparently he got a hold of one that was not into all that, and she jumped out the second floor of his house down to the street to get away from him, and said that he had tried to like seize her and he had bitten her neck. Well,
in this episode, we are going to say, I do not believe Dayton has the second largest coven of vampires.
Even if Dayton has the second largest coven of vampires in the United States, if you're from Ohio or anywhere near Ohio, we can all agree that is the least of their problems.
To end this episode,
in the 90s, Dayton, Ohio was home to a vampire coven that may have actually sacrificed and beheaded someone. And Netflix was going to air a show about this last year, but apparently they pulled it last minute with no explanation why. This story stems back to a 1994 cold case of a 26-year-old man named George Gaul, who was last seen getting off the bus and heading towards a goth-themed nightclub called Asylum. Apparently, Dayton had a big vampire subculture at the time, and this was a popular hangout spot for them. These were groups of kids who would meet up to drink each other's blood and do occult ceremonies. And in 2008, a retired Dayton police officer told the Dayton Daily News that a bartender at the club said that George was beheaded as part of an occult ritual. This officer had gone undercover to the club after George's disappearance, and apparently the bartender told him that George's head was being sold inside of the club. There was also a storm sewer tunnel accessible from inside the club that officers searched, and they found occult markings down there. This story has created a huge urban legend in Ohio, and apparently people still swear to this day that they've seen a headless guy walking around in those tunnels.
So apparently Dayton, Ohio of all places, to me it's kind of obvious, being originally from Ohio, why. It's not as cute as the Twilight PNW area, obviously, but the cloud coverage is nearly the same, sweetie pie. So you've got clouds, you've got freedom. You also have a transportation hub. Dayton is a few hours drive of major cities like Chicago, Louisville, Cincinnati, etc. So you could create a feeding pattern that is subtle. With that also is the fact that this city is unexpected. You always expect Transylvania, New York, New Orleans. I'm not sure why my video is blowing up. I said New Orleans, which really bothers me to this day. I am reformed now. I know how to say New Orleans like the locals. And you know what my last question is gonna be? I don't care if you say, girl, I keep that thing on me. Bitch, is it garlic? Is it holy water? Because if it's not one of those two things, why would vampires settle in Dayton, Ohio of all places? To me, it's kind of obvious. So apparently there's a bunch of vampires in Dayton, Ohio. Like supposedly
was allegedly sacrificed by vampires 30 years ago in Dayton, Ohio will not be aired by Netflix. 26-year-old George Gaul went missing on October 13th, 1994, shortly after getting off of a bus near a goth-themed nightclub called Asylum. The bus driver told investigators that Gaul walked towards the nightclub and was never seen again. Rumors of vampire foul play started in 2008 when a retired Dayton police officer told the Dayton Daily News that one of the nightclub's bartenders claimed that Gaul was beheaded for an occult ritual. I wish that Netflix would release this because this sounds amazing.
Is there a major vampire coven in all places, Dayton, Ohio? If you're like me, you've been seeing the social media posts and the comments about this new documentary coming from Netflix dubbed The Vampires in Gem City, and how they're claiming that there's a huge vampire coven in Dayton, Ohio. Well, I have some bad news.
Do you understand how excited I am about this? I've lived in Columbus my whole entire life, and I love spooky shit. Vampires and witches and wizards and all that stuff. And you're about to tell me Netflix is coming out with a documentary of real life vampires? Like what? What? Where? How have I never heard of this? I'm so close to Dayton. I live in Columbus. Dayton's like maybe an hour away. I cannot wait to see this documentary.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is there a song that keeps the memory of love alive forever?
Yes.
What is it?
Cupid's Arrow by Tracy K.
Cupid's Arrow by Tracy K.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
She's in my arms and she don't wanna let go.
Is it true that there's a vampire cult in Ohio? Hi guys, I'm Helly, I'm a real-life living vampire, and today we're gonna spill some tea on an alleged vampire cult in my sweet, spooky state of Ohio. Here it is, the Netflix series that everybody's been wanting me to talk about. And I'm even mentioned in that article. Now, I don't know all the details of this case, but what I do know is that someone went missing, and things happened to bodies that were quite bad. I have to be really careful with my choice of words on this app. The rituals that were allegedly being performed by these living vampires on people, I'm just like, wow, I cannot even believe I'm saying this. I obviously don't condone this.